want to first congratulate you guys on another great season. What do you guys say is the new nuance to season 3?
The new nuance to season 3 is self-discovery. We're going to do a lot more of that, a lot more familial discovery as well, regardless of what the outcome is of Uncle Julius's big cliffhanger from season 2. Something like that, something tragic, whether it be an accident, whether he lives or dies, it's a tragedy. So that shakes up a family. So you're going to start to really see us see our humanity.
Yeah, absolutely. And we start to really question, like, what is our purpose in life? You know, we start to realize how valuable life is, and that just makes everybody take like a really big turn. Because, you know, when we first got to Atlanta, I like to say, you know, we were just excited to like be there, and we're so unfamiliar with this new world and all this new money. And then in the second season, we kind of just start to enjoy it, like almost taking it for granted. I mean, Cam not so much, but everybody else was kind of just like, woo, you know, especially this one over here. Everybody's kind of just taking it for granted, and then this thing happens, and it's like a really big shock and awakening for everybody. So we kind of flip back to like, okay, let's find ourselves again, and you know, let's drive this vehicle in the right direction.
We call it the Callaway recalibration.
We don't, but that'll work.
You could have gone with me on that.
I could have.
You could have gone with me on that.
Yeah, well, you know, I've never heard of the Callaway recalibration until this moment.
Nobody ever heard of Survivor's Remorse until we started it. See, our family.
See how that went full circle?
Our family's about starting off that new. So the Callaway recalibration is that new. Hashtag it. Make it a thing.
Who are you talking to?
The people.
Okay. Because I was like, she's right here, but I see in your eyes. Okay,
I want
sure.
I want the whole
She is
social
the people.
media to be a part of this. You know what I mean? I want to be inclusive.
That's a line from the show, actually. Just got a moment. Remember that? She was like, we the people.
Yes. Good.
Sorry.
You foreshadowed without even realizing.
You didn't even realize.
Yeah.
You seen the third season?
I did. Well,
Pieces.
Okay.
Pieces, very, like I said, very impressive, very, you know, engaging.
Thank you.
Jumping to Jesse, you know, this has been a really great year for you. You just had your premiere with Independence Day Resurgence, and, you know, you have some projects coming up, you know, as well in the future. How are you able to juggle roles?
How am I able to juggle roles? I try not to juggle. It's kind of like a handoff, you know, from Survivor's Remorse to Independence Day, and then I did Almost Christmas right after, and it was kind of, I was trying to get familiar with the next role during the one that I was, you know, currently working on, but also I don't want to, the thing about juggling is like I feel like you're going to lose focus on what you're already doing, and I don't want to do that. So I would be fully invested in Survivor's Remorse, keep in the back of my mind that Independence Day was happening next, but not really focus on it until it was time, you know what I mean? And then I was able to just be in the moment and not be like worried about the next thing or like the past thing, and you know, and then it just becomes this crazy array of projects, and it can, in my mind, it like blends together and just becomes just one mass amount of work, and I want to keep it separate. So it was like running my own marathon, like passing the baton to myself kind of thing. It kind of felt like that, but in a good way. It was nice to go from Survivor's Remorse, which is so fast-paced and like really alive and growing. It's like watching an infant, you know, like it's something always happen, you know, it's like that. And then to go from that to like Independence Day, which is like extremely long, like stretched out production where you're doing like 10% of what's happening that day, you know, maybe a half a scene a day, or it's the difference is crazy. But yeah, I don't know, I just just try to
Making it happen.
just make it happen.
This season, with Uncle Jay, Cassie's brother, passing, how was it for Cassie's role and just, you know, getting along going into season 3?
The first episode of this third season, you're gonna find with Uncle Jay getting in the car accident, all of our characters really delve a little deeper into what does life really mean. Is this success and this newfound money and fame and glory, is it worth it? Who are we? Where are we? Where did we come to, and why are we here? So you're gonna find a lot of our characters really ask ourselves questions. And that's what Cassie does. Cassie, is considered to be the glue. But, mommies always are. She's the mother, she's the matriarch. But now she's going to question about life and death. And she's going to wonder what about her relationship with her brother who has gotten into this car accident, and how is life going to change after that? You're going to see her worry a little more. You're going to see me, Cassie, try to find love, the love that she's probably been searching for a very long time. So you're going to see a lot more, and Cassie is going to drop a bomb. That's the best that I can say without giving away the storyline. But you're going to find out something about Cassie's past that really has a lot to do with the woman that she is today. Yeah, this is the telephone room. I asked for background music, we got it. Hey. We're gonna find that Cassie is gonna do a little soul searching. She's going to have to address her relationship with her daughter and why it needs to be repaired or it needs to be addressed. So Cassie is still Cassie. She's still going to be no nonsense. She's still going to be that mama that don't take no shit. And but you're going to see more of her, a little more humbler side of her.
Okay. How important is it for Cassie to keep or maintain her sense of humor throughout the time, this time, and going through what she's going through, and just the family going through a loss as well?
The reason why I insert a lot of myself into Cassie, because I think Cassie and I are a lot alike in certain ways. I always say I like to laugh every day. And if I don't laugh, I at least like to smile or make somebody else laugh. Laughter is good for the soul. So I love playing comedy. It's just like my whole thing. But you're going to see some drama as well. But I think it's important that you don't take life too seriously. And you got to enjoy the moments that happen and never miss those good moments that happen. So you're going to see that with Cassie as well.
Right. Okay. Oh, last question. What would you do if your significant other in real life gave you a life-size sex robot?
What I would do if my significant other gave me... What I would do if my significant other gave me a life-size robot, I would send it back. Or I would have it bronze and sit it in the corner of a room. Other than that, ain't nothing happening.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm with you on that one. I really love the husband and wife dynamic between Missy and Reggie. Can you guys kind of tell me really quickly, with the changes, with the loss of Uncle Jay, how that's affected maybe your roles so far going into season 3?
I think Reggie's probably just it's all about getting it right now. Tomorrow isn't promised, which is a line he actually says. Tomorrow isn't promised, and so we have to get everything right now. And so if it's possible, if you can imagine, he gets even hungrier. He gets even more pressed to make sure that Cam establishes a legacy, and a very specific legacy at that. So it just becomes, everything just becomes heightened at this point. That's how the loss affects him. How does the loss affect you?
Well, I don't know if we are able to say.
I already did it. Somebody would have said something.
I don't
No,
think
y'all would have let me out
anybody is
like
here
this?
from Stars. So, well, I will say that given what happened at the end of season 2, Uncle Jay getting in a car accident, I think it just puts the whole family in a situation where you have to really decide who are we, what are we gonna do, how do we move forward. It's such a devastating situation, no matter the outcome, that I think everyone is just kind of shocked into, okay, like Rico was saying, where do we go from now? How does the family move forward in light of what's happened? Yeah, and it really makes everyone dig deep with the Vaughns. They start discussing whether they want to have kids. That topic becomes more imminent. Yeah, it's a lot of life and putting it into perspective.
Okay, so Missy's role was more heightened this season. A lot more of you. What would you say some of the challenges that Missy faced this season?
I think the challenges Missy faced season 3 would definitely be really trying to actually put into motion a career, a purpose for herself. She had a career, and you see her and Reggie even speak on this a bit. You know, she had a career. She was a successful woman, very educated, owned businesses, and she sacrificed that and moved down here to Atlanta to support Reggie. And at this point, it's like season 1 and 2, it's okay, I'm figuring out who I am here, but now I'm good. I need to be myself, and I need to be someone other than just your wife or just a part of Cam Calloway's clan. And so she becomes Cam's media consultant, and we watch all of the craziness that comes with that, and the fact that it's not as simple as just dealing with an average citizen. This is a very famous celebrity, and that's different. So no matter how smart you are, no matter how much you know, it's just a different beast in contending with that aspect of it.
Talking of the beast, how is Reggie dealing with his wife's new, position? She's a lot to handle this season.
Yeah. No, I mean, Reggie wants to support his wife more than anything, and he does. I think there is a moment where, if Missy were just a media consultant and not his wife, that conversation in 305 would have gone a lot differently. But obviously, be it that Missy is his wife, not just Cam's media consultant, he has to be very careful. He has to tread very lightly, and so I think it tests the strength of their marriage, to then introduce this new dynamic as not only Missy being a professional, but being a professional as it relates to Cam. We're now sharing a client. So how she interacts with Cam, the things that she does for Cam as his consultant, now directly affects Reggie as it affects Cam. And so, it's tricky, but it makes for great dialogue, makes for great scenes. And I just think it was really smart on the writer's part to not only give her something to do in terms of a career, but to also connect her career to Cam, which then kind of connects her to Reggie in a different way and leads to some really interesting dialogue.
Can you tell me a bit about some of the challenges having to build upon the storyline starting from season 1 to now?
Right. Well, I think one of the challenges is that, when you're first doing a show and you have the opportunity to do it, you never know if you're coming back. And so you take some big swings. You try to take on storylines and subjects that you think are very interesting, big ideas about how we live now. And one of the things that happens when you do that is that those are episodic in nature. You see a family, okay, how are we going to deal with this Cam's visitation to a children's hospital? How is he going to handle it if hospitals kind of, creep him out? What's he going to do with that? Or an old friend comes into town and needs an opportunity, but the old friend is a bad influence. How does a manager, how does Reggie, his manager, keep that guy away from him? These are stories that I think people can relate to. The old friend from high school that people think is a bad influence, or I just really don't like hospitals because I don't like thinking about death and illness. It makes me, those are kind of universally relatable. And that's what you're trying to do when you first do a season of a show. You're trying to say that this is a show for everybody. This is a show that everybody can relate to because it's about the general in the specific. It's about human beings dealing with these things that we all deal with. As you go on in a show, you're trying to make things very, very more specific to the characters. What is more of their background? Who are their parents? Where did they come from? What are their individual fears? What are their dreams? Where do they want to build their life to go to? And in a great way, when you start filling in that history, you narrow who they are. But when you start thinking about what they want to do with their life, it's wide open. And that keeps all the storylines open. And so it's just been, it's an awful lot of time of just thinking and talking and talking and thinking and thinking and talking and writing and throwing out and talking and thinking.
Right. How difficult was it this season trying to bring the funny or maintain the funny
Yeah,
atmosphere?
that's a great question. It was very difficult after the first couple episodes because one of the things that we knew is that we didn't have Mike. We only had him for a couple episodes because of other opportunities in his life that we couldn't prevent him from pursuing. We love this guy. The fact that he's going to play Richard Pryor in a movie, that's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that he's going to crush. The fact that he was the star of his own show rather than part of an ensemble was something for Mike in his life that was very, very important. And so we had to say goodbye to him. The issue for us was we had to then make a show where we didn't want people turning on the television or watching the episodes and saying, is this an episode that Mike's in? Is this I like the episodes that Mike is in, but we just had to move on, right? Because he had moved on, and though he will come back for origin stories, and we have if we get a season 4, there's a whole, origin arc of like how they got to where they are that we're going to flashback, so we're still going to have Mike involved in that. I think the difficulty was that we had to take this family, as the audience is going to go through this idea of Mike no longer being with us. We had to take the family through that, and we couldn't rush through that. But what I think it provided for us was the title Survivor's Remorse became a lot more specific in what it meant. That had Cam never been the kind of person who could just buy a car and drive it off the lot and give it to a girl he just met 3 weeks ago, then his uncle might still be with us. Okay. And what do you do when you know that if you weren't rich and famous, your uncle would still be here? What's the weight of that grief?